Airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Turn up, talk back, Ashley.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock.
He hits it.
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it. The Ducks have won.
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch made. Touchdown, Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
We've got Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens with us coming up in a little while today. Also, Duck Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer will join us. And after practice, we talked to a number of Duck football student-athletes talking about this 12:30 kickoff on Fox, 10:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. It's an oddity where the game is televised on Fox, yet it's ESPN's traveling pregame show that will be in town. It'll be the third time this year the Ducks will be featured on ESPN's College Game Day. Ducks have had a pretty successful record on College Game Day, and here's hoping that continues, huh? Dan Lanning's press conference every Monday, the Oregon football head coach meets with the media, and our Alex Stimson was there to capture and stream all of it.
All right, fun one on Saturday. Got an opportunity to get with our guys today and work some of the cleanup that we saw in the game. But obviously really excited about this next one. Guys came ready to work today, and this is going to be a fun opponent. It's a really good team, extremely well coached. Have done a phenomenal job at utilizing their personnel and have some really talented players on their team. So it's going to be fun for us to get out there and play them.
Talked a lot about wanting to learn specific things about your team each week. What do you think you learned about your team last week against Washington State?
I don't know if there's anything, if there's necessarily one thing in particular, other than, those guys really love each other. I think that showed up in, multiple opportunities when these guys had success, they were celebrating with each other. But that's something I've really already known.
Jacob's return, just how did he grade out, and just how does he help you the rest of the season?
Yeah, he's a good player. He's really physical. I think, he's a hard person to block. He's really, talented in the box. Just having him back with our team for a guy that's worked so hard to put himself in position to be back, it was great to have him out there. It certainly makes us better when we're able to utilize him.
You mentioned having admiration for what Kyle's had to go through in terms of the personnel stuff and fixing all that. How impressive can you put into perspective? Speak a little bit more into what he's had to go through this year in that regard.
Yeah, the amount of injuries that they've dealt with, and for him to be able to utilize defensive personnel on offense and, shuffle, positions and utilize offensive linemen at tight end, I think it's just really impressive. Everyone's always known that he's a great coach, but the way that he's been able and his staff's been able to utilize the people they have. I know at the beginning of the year he spoke about the depth of his team is starting to really show up. He has good depth, but they're utilizing people in different ways than they anticipated when the year started, and he's done a great job coaching that group.
How did you feel about the clock management at the end of each half this past week?
I was comfortable with it. You would love to get a first down there in that last series so we can keep the clock running. But we took at the very end of the game, we were able to take it down to 1 or 2 seconds before the snap on each one of those. You're trying to make sure you utilize as much of the time as possible there. But yeah, I was comfortable with the way we managed the clock.
This season, you've had 16 different guys make a sack, a lot of those guys freshmen. So how close do you feel like your depth is at pass rusher to ultimately where you want it to be for this program?
Well, we always want to get better, right? I think we have a lot of good players that can play, and I think that's starting to show up. Probably showed up more last week than it has so far this season. But when you have a lot of talented players that can play at a high level, you want to utilize them. But if you tell me if I can have more, then I'm going to go try to get more.
You mentioned their depth, but particularly with Sion Vaki, how difficult is it to scout some of the guys that they're playing now because they're in new positions? I don't know that there's a ton of tape on what Sion's doing right now. You could go back to his high school days maybe to see some of it, but how difficult is that for you to scout them?
Not hard. He's really good. You just watch what he's done when he's been in. He's a really good player. They've used him in a lot of different ways. So I expect to see him on both sides of the ball. But yeah, they're talented and they're able to use those guys well.
Barnes at quarterback, he led that drive late to get him down there. Just what do you make of him at quarterback and just this offense in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's getting more and more comfortable each week. You know, what you appreciate as a football guy watching him play, the guy plays tough. I mean, he's fighting for hard yards there at the end of the game to put their team in position to win. He took some big hits and got up and kept playing, and he's impressive, you know. And like I said, he's dangerous as a runner. He's done a good job passing the ball. He's gotten more efficient each week, and, you know, they do a great job putting them in position and using his talents.
College game day, once again, going to the location of a game that you guys are playing at. What are you expecting from the environment, and kind of what have you heard about Salt Lake?
Yeah, I think it'll be a great environment. You know, I know that they get loud there. I know that they love their team. So it should be a lot of fun for us. I think that speaks, you know, obviously to the job that Utah's done this year and the job that we've done this year to put ourselves in that position to have a game day there.
Gary's been less involved the past couple of weeks in the passing game. Just anything behind that, or is that just kind of happenstance? Or
yeah, he's running routes, and sometimes he's covered, right? We utilize him the second play of the game in reverse. I know we'd love to get him the ball, but sometimes when guys are covering you, you don't always get the ball.
Yeah, with that sack total this year and just your pass rush in general, I mean, do you attribute that mostly to the talent level that's on the team, or have you guys done something differently this year to get those guys going?
I think we always try to challenge ourselves from utilizing different schemes that'll, you know, give us a chance to get guys on the ground. But that being said, I think personnel has certainly helped us there.
Evan Williams had a career high in tackles, arguably one of his best games with the team so far. What have you seen from his development as the year's gone on so far?
Well, probably just that. I mean, he's proven that he can be a guy that can get people on the ground, right? He's a physical player. You know, we've been able to utilize him in a lot of different ways, but he's proven consistently that he can get guys on the ground, which is an important trait on defense.
What kind of a challenge are you expecting for the offensive line down there, both with the crowd noise, but also with guys like Ellis and his ability to get to the quarterback?
Yeah, this is of the teams in our conference, this is a team that I probably have the most respect for defensively, what they do and the pressure that they apply and how they game plan and change what they do game to game. So I think, you know, their scheme along with their talent, you know, sets up really well for them in every game. So it's somebody we have to be really prepared for. We have to think, you know, outside the box and do a good job against them.
On John Ellis specifically, just he's leading the league right now in sacks and TFLs. What have they done to be able to free him up? Obviously, having more than just him helps. You can't double team everybody, but what is it about him that he's been able to get loose as much as he has? Well,
they're a pressure-oriented defense. They're going to be in pressure, and when that happens, you're going to create one-on-ones, right? And he's been able to win a lot of one-on-ones. He's a savvy player, though, as well, and he gets great ball get-off and plays with relentless effort. And when you do those things, that's going to lead to production.
I think you've seen a 13% increase on third down defense. Just what's led to that improvement this season, and how much more room do you feel there is to improve there?
Yeah, plenty of room to improve. You know, I think it will continue to be a challenge because really all that matters is the week that you're in right now, right? It's not really about the last week. It's not about the previous weeks. We've executed better. I think we've made some things simple, too, for our players to, you know, play at a high level. I think we've understood our opponents so far really well, but we're going to continue to see some really tough opponents as things move forward. We'll have to do a good job of handling that.
I understand you've only been a part of this series for last year, but this has been, for the last 10 years, this is the 7th meeting between ranked opponents in this one and a series that's going to go away with the conference realignment. What does this series mean to this program? What does recruiting in Utah, where you guys have had quite a foothold for the last decade, what does Utah mean? What does a series mean to the program?
Well, this is certainly our biggest game because it's the next game, right? And again, like I've said, this is a team that I have a lot of respect for and how they've operated and what they do. Utah will always be in our footprint from a recruiting standpoint. We'd love to be able to go there and get the best and the brightest in our program. But this will be a fun game. I mean, this is one that our players will get excited about. Our fans will be excited about. We want to go down there and do well against these guys.
Offensively, what do you guys do to counteract the defense as talented as Utah's?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things, right? But it starts with execution, right? And it's staying on schedule. You know, they do a good job of knocking people out of rhythm, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to run it on first or run it on second down, but it means it's good to have balance so they can't necessarily tee off on you. But when you create second and long, third and long, you know, they get stronger and they get better. So more than anything, probably staying on schedule and finding opportunities to move the ball down the field.
you're obviously an aggressive head coach that likes to go forward in fourth down situations when it suits you, but going forward, there could be some situations where you want to build up confidence for Camden as well. How do you kind of balance those two forces?
Do whichever one's the best for our team in that moment, right? Pick the opportunity that makes the most sense for us.
Stylistically, is this the kind of game that players like Popo, Taki, Justin, the last two being transfers, that this is kind of stylistically the games that when you bring in transfers like that, you look for them to be able to contribute most in games like this or Oregon State or Cal, where there's just a lot of running between the tackles, a lot where big bodies in the box mean a lot defensively?
Yeah, I think this is a game where you want to make sure you have best players on the field, and certainly stopping the run is a premium. They've done a good job in the explosive pass game at times as well. So you can't do one thing or the other. It's about putting your best 11 on the field. They're going to give you a chance to win. But they'll play bigger personnel groups. When that happens, we need to get bigger like we have all year. When they play smaller personnel groups, then we might not be as big.
It looked like Bucky and Jordan were able to get back out there at the end, but just wanted to update on them and Kyrie.
Yeah, I think those guys will be good to go this weekend. They were all out there with practice today.
Good news from Dan Lanning. I know he's not a guy that likes to talk a lot about injuries. Good news, though, for the Ducks, it sounds like, here moving forward. And I'll tell you what, I think that this game figures to be a physical one, and I appreciated the question about this being a matchup between two top 10 teams over the last few years. Oregon and Utah, lately, it's kind of been like how it was with Oregon and Stanford in the early years of the Pac-12. These two teams have often been the two that are competing for the Pac-12 championship. And it is a separator game in the Pac-12 standings. There's 4 teams with 1 loss. One of them is going to have 2 after this top 25 matchup. Ducks have had a difficult schedule. That's because the Pac-12 has been really good. And I echo what was said by Coach Lanning there about the respect for Kyle Whittingham. Starting quarterback's done for the year. Arguably the best tight end in the league in Keithy is done for the year. They've had some other injuries lately. And yet still, this is a top 25 team, and Salt Lake City has been historically a tough place for the Ducks to play and has been historically a tough place for a lot of teams to play over the last few years. I anticipate a physical game. I know a lot of people are saying maybe it's a low-scoring game. Casey Rogers even said today that it was a Big Ten football kind of game. Yeah, it's a physical one. I would anticipate that here when the Ducks take on the Utes for that 12:30 kickoff on Fox, a 10:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. Justin Jacobs, he was discussed. He's back. He's going to be with us on the pregame show coming up at 10:30. Also, Jackson Powers Johnson, a Utah guy, talking with Ryan Milano this week as part of our pregame. And on the Oregon Football Coaches Show on Wednesday night, Casey Rogers will join us. I'm really looking forward to it. If he wasn't playing football, he'd be playing lacrosse. We'll be talking about that with Casey Rogers. And he also did, let's just say that there's been some friendly wagers between him and some others about golf. We'll talk about that. Every time we talk with Coach Lanning, it's brought to you by the Wind Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. It's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We're coming up on Rob Mullens, Duck Athletic Director, joining us in just a little bit. Also, Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball head coach, will be with us. And, well, Alex Stimson's here in studio, which means that if you're watching the show, the whiteboard hand is back, and he's identified everybody. Good job, Alex. Yep. Yep. Anything else? No. Okay. He's Alex Timpson, along for the ride from the producer chair. He's got a microphone. Maybe he'll use it when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with the Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Athletic Director Rob Mullens is here with us. What have you been doing today?
You know, today's actually been pretty good. I got a little time in the office. I did sneak out to practice for a minute or two.
Yeah, that's a good day for you.
Well, yeah, it is. Although I didn't get to see much. I ended up talking to Benny and talking sports science. And, that's always fun too.
Yeah, it is. I was actually talking to Ben McKay. I was talking to him about the guy who's on the pregame show with us, and Justin Jacobs coming up. And I just asked Ben, like, hey, you know, I haven't gotten to know Justin very much, right? I haven't gotten a chance to talk with him. And he was like, oh, he's got a dry sense of humor. He gave me so Benny, thanks for the scouting report. It came across well on the interview. I actually asked Justin if he has ever met another Justin in his life, and he said no. He's been DM'd by a few people that are like, hey, a Justin who's doing well in the world, but that's it. So have you ever met another Justin? I haven't.
I have not, but I wonder how many times he's been called Justin.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I've almost done it multiple times. So, well, good. So football season so far so good.
So, yeah, great season so far. It's hard to believe that we're already 7 games in. It's, you know, it happens so fast. Yeah. And, you know, we've got three great home games left. Big piece of the schedule left. It feels like fall out there today, so we're in the heart of football season.
That's true. It does feel like fall. Quarter zip season. I'm a quarter zip guy.
I like a little quarter zip, but I need a vest on top of that. It was a little chilly out there today.
Yeah, well, you know, see, you can pull off the vest, Rob. I'm the first to say I can't pull off the vest. I feel like the vest is a senior administrator level wardrobe choice. In the studio, do we agree? Yeah, the vest is a senior administrator wardrobe piece.
I didn't. I learned something today.
Well,
I didn't realize that.
I didn't know it until I said it out loud.
Okay, there we go.
You know, so we've talked a lot about this on the show, but maybe not as much as I should. Season tickets have moved really well this year.
Great.
For Duck football. And reserve tickets have moved really well this year for most of the games for Duck football. And this is a reminder, I can't believe I'm still saying it, that Cal is the only game that still has reserve tickets. And now we have a kickoff time. So if that's what was stopping you from getting tickets, we know that it's going to be a 2:30 kickoff for Cal. That's the only game with reserve tickets left.
It is. And the other one to add on to that, our students have been phenomenal. You know, we expanded the student section this year, connected it with the band, and it has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Again, they were a big factor on Saturday. So, yeah, Cal 2:30. We've had great kickoff times, too. I know sometimes we get feedback on that, but we've had phenomenal kick times, great TV placement, huge audiences. So it's been a fantastic year so far.
A couple follow-ups on that. I don't know, again, see, this is why we have you on, Rob. I don't know that I talk about the student section expansion as much as I should. Take us through that, if you could.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, college athletics has that unique element, and our student section brings an energy that's probably as good as anywhere in the country. I certainly believe so. And obviously, they feed off the band. And, you know, we had a little bit of a disjointed section. We were, you know, trying to figure out a way to reconfigure it, and in that we were able to expand the student section, connect it with our band to really just take over that corner, and you know, that's where all the energy starts.
Yeah, it makes sense to have them so close.
Yes.
I think I've been a huge fan of it. And then you talked about the exposure and the big time games. Isn't it funny that I've actually seen reactions from fans, Rob, this year that they're kind of yearning for a night game now after years. After years, I'm serious.
My inbox for years did not say that, so I'm laughing with you.
I know. I remember there was a year where, admittedly, I think there were a number of 7 o'clock home games that were stacked up, and I remember you heard about it nonstop. You can't win, I guess.
I think that's probably the bottom line. There is no perfect kick time because everybody has busy lives, but I would say over the last 10 years, as people were bashing the Pac-12, this was one of the top items. Both media and fans was, in fact, the number of night games and the impact that it had. So, again, we've been very fortunate this year to have great kick times.
Yeah, and so Jeffrey, even to this point, like some have complained about early kicks, but driving from Medford for every game helps drive home. So, I think I will just say there is no such thing as a perfect kick time for everyone. However, the 2:30 kick time for Cal is the perfect kick time for the Joey Mack household because the 1-year-old's nap occurs from between 11 and noon to about 1 to 2, Rob.
Nice.
So the 2:30 game means he can come.
And it was at Jeffrey's point, is 2:30 gives you time on either end of the game.
That's right.
So I would say that's probably close to the perfect kick.
I like that Pac-12 network 2:30 or 3:30 window. I'm just saying. So if for those of you that are on the fence about Cal tickets, it's the perfect kick time. It's the perfect kick time. And then we do know, though, that there's going to be a night game, of course, because the Beaver game on Friday night is going to be an evening matchup, which figures to be a big one already. We know that. USC also on the horizon, and there's not very many tickets left. Anything else on that front that you should share with fans?
No, again, it just, the impact in recruiting for every sport at a football game, because a lot of our coaches use these home games on their official visit weekends so that, those prospective student athletes get to see the energy. Obviously, it shows well on TV for recruiting for the university as well, and obviously the impact it has on the outcome of the game. We've experienced that on the road.
No doubt.
And I'm sure we'll experience it again on Saturday. It is, we want to make it as tough as possible for visiting teams to perform their normal operation when they're at Autzen. And when we fill it, people in early, and they make a lot of noise, it has an impact.
Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens with us. Back to the exposure for a moment. Like when you're on the bigger networks in those windows where more people are awake, I'm just being honest, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Huge difference. And you look at when Colorado, we had 10 million, UW game 7 million, a big number last weekend as well, right in the middle of the day with lots of competition. And again, it's a way through which fans, prospective students, prospective student athletes get introduced to the Willamette Valley, to the university, to Oregon football. And so the more people see it, the more people take a second look. And as we've talked about on here numerous times, if we can get people to visit and take a second or third look, the yield rate goes way up. So TV does offer that window through which people can get introduced to it.
Importance, too, of the ancillary shows, too. This is the third time this year that a matchup that the Ducks are in is featured on ESPN's College Game Day.
Yeah, no, that builds a lot of hype, obviously, around it. And then, you're looking at a 3-hour show on game day. And if you're in the game, you get a significant segment. Your coach tends to get to go on live. So, again, all those big – I think it was Lou Holtz who said, it's one of being on game day is one of the best recruiting tools you can have, and you can't buy it. It's not for sale.
Sure.
You have to earn it.
Yeah, it's true, right? And the most successful teams that have the fun environments, that's where places, or I should say productions like that, those are the places that they want to go to.
No doubt. And, as we've seen, they love coming to Eugene, and so hopefully we can give them reason to come back.
All right, we're going to get a quick timeout. Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens with us. Going to talk about Oregon volleyball, soccer, the Jake cross country, softball, basketball, and then anything else that he wants to highlight that I probably missed. This is why I have bullet points, and then I get to half of them. We're coming back to the Country Financial Studio after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D, that means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack, joined by Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. We were just talking during the break. It's actually been about 6 weeks since we've talked with you on the show, and in that period of time, the Be Oregon initiative has gone through the new logo, the refresh, if you will. And Damone Merkerson was on. We were talking with Damone about it, but I wanted to get some thoughts from you because you've been here from the beginning of Be Oregon through what it is now, and I just kind of wanted to give you an open floor for the program and where it's at.
Well, it was an award-winning program, and it's something that started, Desiree was still here, so I don't even know what year, 14, 15, somewhere in that neighborhood, kind of taken off of the Nike Be True. And we launched an internal program really just for staff and student athletes, athletic staff and student athletes, to just encourage everybody to be their authentic self so that way they can be their best self. And we worked with Todd Van Horn on a mark, on a creed, and it was really embraced. And, it started to show up at events, show up through merchandise, gear that our staff and student athletes wore. It generated a lot of engagement with the community. And, then there was really a demand to have some at retail, which we did. We won an award, an NCAA award, diversity award with the program. So we were having a lot of success with it. There's a subcommittee on our SAC, so we have a lot of student-athlete engagement around it. And then we're looking at, a way to relaunch, refresh. And again, got a lot of input from various constituencies to build a new mark, and we were able to unveil it recently. And the student athletes who spent a lot of time engaged in it, and the staff were really proud of it.
We had Ajane Respass and Katrina Wright on the show to talk about it, and they both. I'm paraphrasing, but they both said something similar along the lines of so much input, and that's why the logo looks the way that it does, right? There's a lot of different representation across the logo, and that's what it's all about. I thought that was great.
It is what it's all about, and when you can hear, a designer like, a creative genius like Todd Van Horn explain how it all came together and walk through kind of the I guess the timeline of the design and how it evolved in the various stages, it really hits home, and it's been very well received.
You touched on the community engagement, Rob, and one thing that's kind of, I think, sat with me the last few years is how much this comes up in recruiting conversations. Like when I've talked to coaches and just, about those sorts of things, and then it comes up and it ends up being a big recruiting piece too.
No, I mean, I think we're very fortunate, right? We have a world-class facility infrastructure. A lot of people hear about it, see it on TV, read about it. We have an incredible brand, a one-of-a-kind relationship with Nike, which people connect with through the uniforms and through other innovations. And then when they arrive here, then they meet the people and see our commitment to the people and the support infrastructure and the environment that we create for every individual to be successful. And that's ultimately the goal. Yeah. And it absolutely, the culture is a huge advantage.
Yeah, you talk about culture. I mentioned Ajane Respas. Well, her team, soccer, senior day is on the horizon, if you can believe it already.
Yeah, no, and, this team has just stayed in the fight, obviously, young team, and have had their challenges this season, but have really stayed the course. Hopefully everybody can get out and support them and see them through a strong finish.
Duck Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer is going to be with us coming up in just a little while, but some record crowds
it was
for
awesome.
His team. I know you were there on Sunday.
I was there Sunday. It was great. Popped over there Friday, was great as well. So, yeah, just incredible energy in there. When you got, 2 versus 6 or 2 versus 7, incredible match. And so, record season tickets, record crowd first game, and the momentum has carried on. And we want to continue that because we want to be a host in that first and second round in volleyball and carry on and, give this team everything that they deserve because, we're going to be in the hunt for a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, you talk about the Pac-12. I know Stanford has the record. We'll talk about this with Coach Ulmer coming up, but the Ducks still control a lot of things actually in volleyball here for a Pac-12 championship. And then, Coach Ulmer's made no bones about this, that the reason they scheduled so tough was to have the opportunity and the experience to host the first few rounds. Makes a huge difference in volleyball.
Huge difference. If you get to play at home, sleep in your own bed, home court advantage, your crowd, huge advantage.
Yeah. Cross-country postseason also.
Here we go.
Horizon.
Yeah, no, it's they're cross-country postseason is always interesting because it's hard to measure the rankings because there's not much head-to-head. Everybody's training and building to certain events, and so some weeks are off, some weeks are on racing-wise. So we're going to find out.
Yeah. So a fan asked me last week, Rob, I think you'll appreciate this, to do like a deep dive of where the Ducks stack up in time-wise, and I just went like, oh, man. I don't even know where to start sometimes with the way that you're building toward the end of the year,
Exactly, and sometimes people are nicked up or they're at just different stages of training because obviously, there's lots of different paths. And the thing that makes it difficult in the sport of cross-country and track is you got to peak. If you want to win a conference championship, you got to peak 3 times because you got to peak at the conference championship, you got to peak at the regionals in order to qualify, and then the nationals. And there's lots of debate in the sport about, should you be trying to do that? That's really difficult to do.
Right, yeah, you kind of have to choose your poison, for lack of a better phrase. A couple final thoughts for Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. Softball, fall ball is underway, and I love the fact that Coach Lombardi and her team have connected a charitable cause to every one of the fall ball games. That's a pretty cool initiative.
It's a really cool initiative, because there are people in our community in need, and for the softball student athletes to be thinking about others and taking the opportunity around those fall ball games to do things that give back is really meaningful. Obviously we know the impact that O Heroes has, but when you can also do some things like this on a team to create awareness, create resources around a fall ball game, that's pretty special.
We'll talk about O Heroes. I want to mention this. If you missed our conversation with Steve Stevens on the Oregon Football Coaches Show last week, I actually brought up to him like some of his favorite memories from his career so far. He brought up the Courts to Kids trip.
Anybody that's gone on that trip, it's interesting. We started that, much like Be Oregon, I think it was a decade ago. And Katie Harbert gets a ton of credit in this partnership with Court for Kids. And, the first year we did it, it's an international service trip, essentially what it is. You go to a remote community that doesn't have much, and we take 17 to 20, student athletes and staff and build a court in this community, which really becomes a gathering spot. The first year we had to recruit student athletes to do that. Ever since then, because the feedback was so good, we have an application process. Yeah. And those cohorts form a bond with each other because they're there for 4 or 5 days doing this manual labor, and then they see the impact that it has on the community. It's powerful.
Yeah, really outstanding. And I remember I asked Devin Allen actually a similar question once upon a time, and he also brought that up. Just a couple examples of how powerful it's been over the years. O Heroes does a lot of good stuff.
a lot of great stuff, for all different people in need in our community. So we appreciate our student athletes have very, very busy lives. But what we found is when they engage in this, they get a lot more out of it, and they appreciate it.
Basketball season, believe it or not, is on the horizon. On Sunday, exhibition for Oregon women's basketball at 4 o'clock. And then in just a couple weeks, basketball season is back in full force, the first Monday of November. We're here.
We're here. We're in that crazy time, right? We're stretch run of fall sports, cranking up winter sports, a lot happening.
Lastly, you got to open a new facility, the Jake.
Yeah, that was a fun event. Credit to Justin Fisher and Jeff Gaskell. Justin leading the fundraising, and Jeff, a community partner, and helping fulfill this vision. Just Casey's been expressing this need for a long time. And you get somebody like Jim Pliska, who owns Emerald Valley, who steps up and creates an opportunity for us to do something for our men's and women's golf teams. And then, it's a teamwork, right? Justin goes out and helps raise the money. We had over 130 donors give to this project that enabled us to build this. And then Jeff's expertise lended to an incredible process. Yeah. And the outcome is exactly what you would want it to be.
Anything else fans should know before we let you go?
No, here we go. Big weekend. Let's keep going.
Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullens. Thanks for being here, Rob.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank
Go Ducks.
Matt Ulmer's on his way in next. We've got some fun things in store. I know he does, too. Hair looks good today. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. When we come back, Oregon Volleyball head coach Matt Ulmer with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. He's Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball head coach, joining us in the Country Financial Studio. We did not appropriately do his slow clap intro, so
I'm telling you, this is a new thing.
It's not. We did it.
That's
Wait, Alex, can you confirm we did it for Rob when he came in?
Well,
Confirmed.
Sure, I believe that. I mean, I get that. I meant for me. Before this year, that was never a thing.
That's true. No, that's true. It started this year.
Is new?
We started doing it for everybody this year.
Okay.
No, that's accurate.
Oh, all right. Well, at least I got something right.
You get a lot of things right.
You know what you haven't gotten right yet?
Actually, in fact, I have something really important to ask you today.
There's the smile.
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for.
This is great.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a lot of things.
Slightly sinister, though.
We're going to talk about a lot of things, but I have to compliment you.
Thank you.
We've touched on this a little bit this year. I think twice it's come up in passing. But I just got to tell you, you have been so much better at winning your challenges this year.
Oh, my gosh.
You've been so much better at winning your challenges this year,
Thank
Coach.
You. Yes. You're right.
We've noticed.
You're right. I have been great.
Do you know what your ratio is now instead of
it's got to be at least 50-50, right?
Because you were, 0 for 21 one year?
It was 1 for 22.
1 for 22,
okay,
so 0 for 21
let's
also.
Let's not forget that one.
1 for 22.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, that was Brooke Nunneviller's fault, right?
I blame it solely on Brooke.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this year, now that Brooke Nunneviller is
no one's
here,
talking to me. I have my own mind now. I make my own choices.
But actually, are you like 5 for 10 right now? I feel like you've won so many of your challenges.
I think I might be above. Actually, I might be above that 50. I do feel like it's been pretty good. I mean, the cameras are better, which helps, right?
Sure.
So, like the two.
Shout out Alex Stimson. Way to go. Way to get those cameras. Yep. Well done.
Like the two we didn't get on Sunday, they couldn't see. But I still think I was right on both of them.
Okay.
No, that's not your fault. It's just the quality. Like when you blow it up and they can zoom in on it, like they just couldn't make it out.
You know what his title is, right?
What is it?
Assistant Director of Video and Broadcast.
Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's not on you. You can upgrade the pixels when they zoom in. I mean, can you? If you can, let's talk. But he can do that. He can't do that.
I'm glad that we could start off with this.
But thanks. There were a lot of challenges.
There were a lot of challenges.
There was a lot of challenges.
I want to go chronological though. So
okay.
Yeah, there were a lot of challenges in the Stanford matchup. We were talking about the great environment, but let's start with Cal. What'd you take away from Friday's match first?
Yeah, I mean, this past week, let's see, we talked last. So coming off of ASU last Sunday, that was rough. I feel like we had a really great Tuesday practice last week. That's when we had talked. And then we had a really hard week of practice. Was really impressed by the response from everybody on the team. And I thought it showed. It carried over, to Friday against Cal. And I thought we definitely played much more our style. Found our offense again. I think we hit over 400 in that match. And we did a lot of good things on defense and serve and pass. So I felt much better in that than I had in the previous weeks. So that was exciting. And then Saturday got after it again. Normally we would be kind of taking a really light practice on that Saturday before another match, but we didn't. We're just trying to again develop better habits, and we kind of pushed. And then I thought we did so many good things against Stanford. Obviously didn't get the win, but we put ourselves in a position to be successful.
I'm curious now. You got me thinking. Like, I'm sure you've heard this as a coach, like the whole secretariat thing, right? Where it's like, how do you decide when to push someone, like just keep pushing, or when do you decide to back off and rest? Like, how difficult is that as a coach? And what was that like this weekend? Like you talk about like punching through on Saturday sort of a thing.
Well, I think for the most part we try to be consistent.
Yeah.
But then I think there's times where we need that gentle push. So like for example, we went really hard on Saturday because I think again we're trying to develop better habits that I feel like we lost for a few weeks. So it was just really just trying to re-ingrain that into what we do. And so I felt like that was important. I didn't want us to let down and then come back the next day. So a little bit of a risk that our bodies would be okay for Sunday, and they were. We didn't go long, but we went tough. But today, like this morning, we didn't do volleyball this morning, so I gave them like an extra day off of volleyball, hoping then the next 2 days we can go really hard again and then be ready for Friday. So I don't know, just trying to balance it. You ask them questions, you listen to their answers about how they're feeling, and I think you just try to manage it the best you can.
I think a lot of fans, and I got asked by a couple fans this weekend to talk with you about your middles. I know you had to move some pieces around. Middles, your thoughts from the weekend?
Yeah, I feel I've been telling you we have 4 just dynamite middles on our team.
Nice to have that.
It's unbelievable. Like it's truly a blessing. It's hard because then you got people not playing that really could be playing it almost anywhere. So they just have to be patient, which it's never easy to do that. Again, I feel like the last few weeks I've mentioned that Colby Neal's been so good, even though you haven't seen her. Carson, pulled something this week. Colby, like I said, for weeks has been doing great. She's been pushing everybody, and then I thought Carson was just kind of hurting a little bit and just wasn't able to kind of go full Carson. And I thought Colby, deserved the opportunity, and I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, how big of a deal is that for her and for the team to have her as that depth? That's got to feel.
Yeah, good. I think in general, we've talked about like our A side, B side, like we really really push each other in practice. And this week was the best we've done that so far this season. And again, so Colby's on the other side. I love listening to the middles because they brag about how each other pushes them to be better each day in practice. Again, you don't even see Oni out there yet, but you got Oni and Colby going up against Carson and Kara. Like, that's 4 really legit middles every day going after each other, making each other better. And you're seeing Kara right now just absolutely as dominant as I've seen an attacker in an Oregon uniform.
Yeah.
I think she was over 4 kills a set and hit almost 600 this weekend. And one of those matches is against
right.
Stanford. Like, those are silly. That's like NBA Jam numbers. When they get on fire.
Jam numbers.
Yeah, but we have that?
We can make it.
Well, okay, we'll
find
then.
it.
We put the net on fire?
Yes.
Whoa.
See, now you're onto something.
Okay.
Now you're onto something.
Okay.
You talk about Kara, though, like, in that Cal match, it was unstoppable.
Yeah, yes. I mean, like, we just need to get her the ball.
And
then against Stanford, she was equally unstoppable.
When you have, in any game, in any match, I guess, when you're talking about someone that's just so unstoppable, how much it opens up the rest of the offense in any sport. But I feel like, and I'm kind of curious, like, tactically, in volleyball, though, how big of a deal is that if you're a setter and you know that the middle, you're golden?
Yep.
Because rhythm, whatever, everything's going well.
Yep.
How much does that help you out at the pins?
It's huge. Again, Hannah, if you watch her play, she does as good a job as anybody I've ever seen as a setter position, taking a look at the other side, trying to see, like, the block coverage of what's going on. And sometimes that deters her from setting, like just giving Kara the ball, because they might have a double coverage on her or something like that. So she sets to who should be open. But with someone like that, it's like you give her the ball anyway and you trust that she can do it. And then once they really commit to it, now all of a sudden, now you could go over the top to Mimi or Gabby, whoever that is, or then now Morgan's open on the back, or, even she's open as an attacker. So it's just you're trying to stay ahead of the game. You're trying to keep them on their toes a little bit. But I think she's just really trusted Kara this weekend more than ever. I'm just going to set her, and I'm going to trust that she's going to do something good with it. Just put her in a good spot. And Kara's making great choices. And again, Stanford knew it was going to Kara, and they still couldn't stop it. Same with Cal. And then once they fully committed on her, now all of a sudden, now you see Mimi kind of go forward or more, etc. So I think that's what she's trying to sniff out, and you're just trying to keep doing it before they make that next adjustment.
Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball head coach, is with us. Culturally, I wanted to ask you about this because afterwards, after getting the start, Colby Neal talked about with the media post-match how it was so it was such a cool opportunity for her. She was ready for the moment, but also she's like, but our middles are amazing. I just feel like from my chair, from a post competition interview like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well done,
yeah,
Colby Neal. Now culturally though, how rewarding is that for you as a coach to have that happen? We're talking about all these things with depth, and it's hard to wait your turn. Whatever phrase you want to use, culturally, how have you been able to do that?
Well, I like that that's her response because I think she was honest. Yeah. I think she actually feels that way. I think they all do. Again, it's always my biggest fear last year and this year with how much depth we have. Quality depth is, again, just, people being patient. Again, there's freshmen that, you haven't seen play this year that are just phenomenal volleyball players and could be making an impact so many places right now. And just trusting the process and trusting that their time will come. And just to learn as much as they can, kind of from the bench or, in practice. And that's not an easy ask. That's not just a light thing to say. But that's what this group is asking for. And again, we go, the ebbs and flows of emotions with it. There's days where we handle it fine. There's other days where it's much harder. But I really, and Colby's had those days and everybody else has. So I'm proud of her, one, for being ready, trusting the process. Again, what I just asked them is just get ready. Get prepared because you don't know when your time's going to come, and when it does, you want to make the most of it. And I think that's exactly what Colby did. And again, Carson, will get back and they'll just keep battling. And what it does is it gives the coach options, for matchups and can make us harder to scout. I don't think Stanford was ready for Colby, and Colby did a great job of capitalizing that. And then again, you just want to just continue to make your team better. So the better that each of them can get, the better we're going to get by definition.
You touched on Stanford and how you really liked what your team was doing. I know you liked the aggressiveness. Just any other takeaways after reviewing the film, thinking about it, and things that you want to work on now moving forward?
Yeah, I mean that has to become our standard. And again, I feel like we haven't played that way since Pittsburgh, probably.
Really.
And that's just way too long a gap, to really bring that type of energy, that type of intensity. That needs to be. We have 5 weeks left in our regular season before playoffs. Can we sustain that for 5 weeks? I don't care who you're playing. That just needs to be how we play volleyball or how we go about each practice. And again, it starts in practice. That's where we need to be able to bring. So again, I'm good taking days off of practice as long as when we do, we play that way. Because then we need to learn when we're up like that, how are we going to control? Again, Morgan Lewis had 4 or 5 swings that were just fantastic, high international level swings that just missed by this much. Either missed the hands or missed the court. And again, I'm not mad at any of those. Obviously, you want to win, so you want those to go your way. But those were the swings that actually beat Pittsburgh, because they did get the hands or they were just in. So you don't want her to back off, but we need to practice that way so that you can just finish your wrist a little bit more, and then you get that touch or you get that ball. So and then serving, I thought we were very aggressive, but then our technique kind of fell apart a little bit sometimes. So we need to be able to continue to practice that aggressively so we can hold our posture and do that, and then understand that we can we can execute that a little bit better. So if that's what we learned, that we need to be able to bring that every day, then it was very worthwhile for us.
It's like controlled aggression, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Again, if you go too hard, you can be out of control. Right. So for us, we have to find that fine line. But I'd rather us, what I've been saying for a couple of years with us is I want things to be on our terms. Right. So if we don't get that point, it's because of us, not because we gave them the ball and then they went and made the play. I want to be the one doing that. Again, I thought that's how we lost to Louisville. In 5, we had a really aggressive serve, to go to the Final Four, and then we had a really aggressive swing at hands to go to the Final Four. We missed them both. I can sleep with that.
Right.
I can live with that, because those have actually that's what got us there the whole time. So for us, the first 3 sets against Stanford, we're hitting over 300, and we're playing great defense, and we're doing everything we want. We just didn't execute at a high enough level. It just wasn't clean enough. But I know if we continue with that, we will be in that position again for a really long time for the rest of the season.
Now, I want to ask you something larger than volleyball in a moment, but while we're on that aggressiveness front, we know it's another huge one. Everyone's huge in the Pac-12. 7 o'clock on Friday, you're headed up to Pullman, televised on Pac-12 networks, and I'm sure you're anxious to get another matchup with the Cougars.
Yeah, because I think they make us better. Again, I think Stanford made us better. I think they showed us things that we can continue to improve upon or where we need to get to in order to, again, take that next step for this team. I think especially in Pullman, it's a really tough environment. Again, I believe it'll be another playoff atmosphere like I thought Sunday was. It'll feel like a regional, type of match. So can we bring what we just brought, but then execute just a little bit, cleaner so that we can, be more successful. And I think it's a great opportunity for our group.
Noon in Seattle then also, and that one is, again, on ESPN. And on that note, how big of a deal was that? I mean, I know you'd like to come out with the victory, but getting the volleyball, this high level of volleyball on ESPN Maine, how big is that?
I mean, I think there's so many different things into it, right? But overall, I think it's massive. It's massive for our sport. I think it's massive for our program. For West Coast volleyball, be able to have that type of matchup between, I think, 2, really good teams. I thought our crowd, again, was fantastic. We're leading the West Coast in attendance, which go Ducks. That's so exciting. I think we're over 3,500 a game right now, which is, that's awesome.
That's
and
great.
We'll keep pushing. But just, again, the energy from the fans is amazing. I think you could hear that on TV. I saw when I watched it back, the Stanford coach in between sets 2 and 3, he couldn't hear the questions because shout was so loud. Love that.
Good.
Or it's good.
That's
what shout is. That's
right.
what shout is in Matthew Knight Arena.
It's literally shouting.
It is literally shouting. But I thought it was great. But to me, that looks. I think it's awesome. But yeah, just have that platform. Again, and a lot of the volleyball world is watching, that type of match, and so they can see. Everybody just saw how great Kara is,
right.
Or Hannah Puke is making all this play, or you can go down the line, right? And I think for them and for their career, they get noticed more. They get more of that attention, and they deserve it.
That's sweet. Also, you had some alumni in town this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
How cool was that?
Awesome. Yeah, anytime that we can get anybody back in the gym or around our team, I think it's a blessing. And I know they had a really good time. And Lauren Plum was actually here for the week,
right.
And she was just shadowing the team, and because she's at Vanderbilt and they don't have their first season until 2025, so she's able to go out and kind of get in the gym and see what other people are doing, and that was really neat to have her on a professional level, and as an alum. So, yeah, it was a special week.
That's cool.
Yeah.
He's Matt Ulmer, Oregon Volleyball head coach. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Always appreciate you. Here's to some more successful challenges.
And your hair also looks nice today.
Wow. That was nice, Lai.
Thanks.
Yep, that's right. Thanks for being here.
Have a great day.
I will.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks. When we come back, wrapping up the show. Thanks again, though, to Matt Ulmer. Oregon Volleyball head coach. Ducks are in action, 7 o'clock, I should say. 7 o'clock in Pullman on Friday, and then noon on Sunday. He's totally throwing me off. He always does. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network.
I love you, Joseph.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
That was Matt Ulmer, Duck Volleyball head coach. 7 o'clock in Pullman on the Pac-12 networks on Friday, noon on Sunday on ESPN. Rivalry matchup, Ducks and Huskies this weekend. Also, Oregon basketball is in action at 4 o'clock. The women start things off with an exhibition, 4 o'clock on Sunday. Chris Clayton, our buddy, will have the call. I'll be with him. Bev Smith will be there as well. The Ducks are taking on a good Southern Oregon program. But don't get me wrong, different level. Oregon women's basketball should be winning this game. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the team looks like and what the rotation looks like, honestly. Some new faces for Kelly Graves' team. And I'm happy to report that our Bev Smith bobblehead is back in the studio, and Bev will be back on the call. Yeah. Duck soccer, 7 o'clock on Thursday as well. There's so much to cover. I've run out of time. Tomorrow's show, we'll have Coach Lanning, Rob Mosley will cover a lot of things. Yeah. See you tomorrow.
Uh-oh. Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart. Heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain